of 2019 draft budget program. Andy, would you like to start?
Sure. Good evening. Thank you, everybody. The chief already told me only 5 minutes to get this in, so.
Whoa.
Any questions?
Perfect, bye.
I think you guys know the routine. If you have any questions, please just jump in and ask away. I'll go over the basic stuff, and then the department heads come up, talk about their budgets, or whatever else you guys have questions. Okay?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so the total revenues for 2019 are projected to be $77 million. This is a 10% increase from 2018. One of our bigger increases is in the intergovernmental revenues. Our department has done a great job getting new grants for 2019. There's a fire grant. We've got a very large grant for the Jackson Streets. We have ODOT money and level 2 money, so that's why our intergovernmental revenues have gone up by $2.7 million. The user fees, those are all our water, sewer, electric revenues. We expect those to go up $1.5 million, and we expect increased consumption for all of our utilities in 2019. The miscellaneous revenues, you see there's about a $200,000 increase. The reason our interest rates keep going up and our revenues keep going up, so we expect our interest revenues to go up about $200,000 in 2019. The transfers in are going up significantly, almost just under $3 million. And right now we're budgeting to transfer $3.1 million from the electric reserve fund into the electric construction fund. And that's for the future development of the High Point Center. That's a quick overview of the revenues. Anybody have any questions on them? Next one, these are just trends for all our different revenues. Our user fees, these are the city's largest source of revenues. You see they're going up slightly in 2019. The property taxes, the majority of these go to the general fund. We're going to be getting about $1.6 million in property taxes, and those will be about pretty stable from 2018. The income tax for 2019, we were budgeting at $8.2 million, which is the same that we budgeted for in 2018. Local government taxes, the city expects to get is about $600,000. All of that is general fund money, and that's the same as 2018 as well.
Andy, why was it so high in 2016, the income tax revenues?
We had some of the city's companies, 2 or 3 of the city's companies had very good years, and they reported a lot of net profit income taxes, and that's why it went up so high in 2016.
We need more of that.
We need our companies to do well. Yes, we do.
Thank you.
This shows where all the revenues come from. Again, the user fees are the city's largest source of revenues. The taxes are the second largest source, and then the intergovernmental revenues are the third largest source. This is a summary of the city's total cost expenditures. The largest source of expenses for the city are personnel, and that's going to be $29 million. This is up slightly from 2018, and that's due to the raises that were contractually obligated for. The materials and supplies, you'll see those went up over $700,000. And what this is, the fire chiefs did a great job getting a new grant for us. And so we're acting as a main grant person for this project. So I believe there's, is there 4 or 5 other communities in this grant? Three? Okay. And so we're gonna be taking in all this money for everybody, but then we also have to disperse it out to the other communities. And there's roughly $600,000 that we'll be taking in and sending out. So that's why those materials and supplies are going up so much, because we're taking in money for other communities, but then we're sending it back out as well. You'll see the utilities went up over $2 million. The reason our purchase power in 2018 was 15 million, and for 2019 it's going to be 17 million. So the purchase power, that's us purchasing the electric power and sending it back out, that's going to be expected $2 million more in 2019. You see our debt continues to go down. Our debt payments are going down by over $700,000. This is great. This shows that we're paying off the city's debt, and we're doing it in really good shape with our debt. The High Point Center, you will see that for the transfers in, we have $4.1 million for that. But I'm sorry, this is transfers out, and it's increased by almost $3.2 million. Again, this is, we're moving money from the electric reserve and into the electric construction fund to pay for the future development of the High Point Center during the electric wires. So the total 2019 budget expenses will be over $84 million, and this is a 7% increase from the 2018 original budget. Just some quick budget points. The 2019 general fund will have a budget deficit. All the main funds in the city will need to use carryover monies to balance the budget. The main expenses are for capital and personnel costs. We're going to propose to do $19.6 million in capital projects. In 2018, we proposed $19.8 million, so we're right about the same place. We're doing a continuation of the water intake project. We're paving roads and repairing sidewalks. We're doing a lot of electric work. And then we have several new stormwater projects to alleviate flooding issues. This shows what groups of funds spend the money. Out of the primary funds, that is our water, sewer, electric funds. They account for 68% of the total budgeted expenses for 2019. General fund comes in next. 16% of the total budget will be spent on general fund. And then next we have special revenue funds. These are our special funds like the court, the water levy, the road levy, the fire levy, or the EMS funds. Those are all special funds, and they're the third highest cost of our budget. This shows again, this is another breakout of what we spend the 2019 budget money on. Our largest source of expenses is salaries. That's going to be about $29 million. Our second largest expense is capital outlay. That's going to be over $19 million. And then our third largest expense is utilities, and most of that is the purchase power of $17 million. All right, the general fund revenues for 2019 are going to be $12.8 million. They're up 2% from 2018. The reason they're up, the interest revenues are up $200,000. Our expenses are going to be just under $13 million in the general fund. The reason, and these are going up 3% from the 2018 budget. The reason they're going up is due to wages increasing and increased operating expenses. This is the fifth year in a row the general fund budget revenues have increased from the prior years. So that's a very good sign that the general fund revenues continue to increase. The general fund will be transferring $290,000 into the cemetery fund to so that fund remains solvent. If we couldn't do that, this fund would go in the negative. I do want to point out that the city used to give close to $400,000 to the cemeteries fund. We are operating these funds a lot more efficiently, but unfortunately, there's just, with the cemeteries, you're gonna lose money on. And so, we are getting that number down, but we still have to transfer $290,000 into the cemetery fund, just so that fund will remain solvent. And the general fund will have a budget deficit of just over $193,000 in 2019. This shows what makes up the general fund revenues. The taxes is the general fund's main source of revenues. They account for $9.6 million. The second largest source of revenues in the general fund are the court fees. These bring in about $1 million. And then the third is our miscellaneous revenue, and this is our, most of this is interest that the city receives from our investments. This is the general fund revenue and expense comparison going back to 2015. 2015, 16, and 17 are actual revenues and expenses, and 18 and 19 are the budgeted revenue and expenses. This shows what the general fund is spending their majority of our costs on. 81% of the total general fund budget will be spent on salaries and benefits. We also have charges for services and in-charge for services. We have the dispatch, that costs $553,000. That's up approximately $20,000 from 2018. We don't have a choice in that. The county tells us this is what it is, and we just have to pay it. We pay the health district $161,000 a year. And also, we have budget for the DPO for $28,000. We increased that a couple years ago at council's request. We do have money budgeted for the seniors in 2019, but I think the administration would like a little clarification if we still keep that in the budget for 2019. It's in there right now, but at some point, if you guys could give us some clarification, yes or no, with that would be good. $25,000. The contractual services, that's where we pay the regional income tax agency. We pay them $256,000 a year. They do a great job with collecting the city's income tax collections, and their system for collections is way better than CCA ever was. The city's liability insurance is about $126,000 as well. This is the personnel summary by departments. There haven't really been too many changes for 2019. I want to point out that community development, they're going from 12 to 13 employees. And what that is the additional employee that Leanne's going to need to administer the sidewalk program. At the electric, you'll see they're down roughly 2 employees. That was from 2 positions that have been eliminated at the plant through attrition, and we haven't had it filled. All right, this chart sort of breaks out what each department spends on their salaries and what they spend on their operating expenses, just for the general fund. So the largest general fund expense is the police. They're about $4.5 million. You'll see in their operating expenses of $785,000. There's dispatch fees in there. That's where that $553,000 is. The second largest expense in the general fund is the fire department, and they're about $2.6 million. The third largest expense in the general fund is non-departmental. That's where we pay for the hospitalization. That's $1.7 million. The workers' comp, which is $200,000. And the transfer transfers out to the various funds. The fourth largest expense in the general fund is meeting courts, and that's about $1.1 million. So now we got into the individual departments. You'll see Leanne's engineering budget went up about $15,000 in 2019. The main reason it went up so much is because of the new employee for the sidewalks. And then Leanne is here to go over her capital or any other questions you might have for her.
So our capital, is the Jackson Street, which we're getting no ICA money for, with federal money, through the state. So that's 1.3, almost 1.4 million to repurpose Jackson Street, and that's from, Elizabeth Boulevard all the way to Richmond. Button Avenue is, 160,000. We're going to do the Skinner Avenue design that we're going to do between the water and the roadway, and we're going to apply for OPWC funding. The Bay Street erosion control is about 300,000, and next year we will continue to save to work with Army Corps to implement that fix to the Bay Street slide. Cedar Brook is 150,000, and that's from roughly Bloom Road, Southington, that really bad stretch of asphalt, it costs a ton. And then the 2019 road paving projects is 250,000. We're not sure yet what roads we're going to do, so we're working those details out. And then the sidewalk improvement of 30,000. Does anybody have any questions?
So what's Jackson Street gonna include, is it just an overlay?
It's a, no, it's a resurface.
And how much do we have for weight totally for the Main Street?
How much do we have to
Yeah,
put together? All
We've
together?
got 300 here, I know we've been saving for.
Right, so, well, we were gonna save money in 2018, and then council elected to take that money and use it towards the roads. So we need to set aside 700,000 total for Main Street. We're gonna do 300,000 in 2019, with 150 coming from the city and 150 coming from the level 2 monies. And then in 2020, we're gonna set aside another $400,000, which is already part of the 5-year capital plan for Main Street. And so we should have enough set aside after 2020. In 2018, we put in $200,000. That was for the feasibility study. And that's going on right now.
So when does that end?
Army Corps said that we have at least a year, maybe a year and a half of feasibility study, and then they'll make the recommendation on what type of wall, and we'll have an estimate, knowing what the total will be moving forward, then we'll enter into a construction contract with them.
So the wall, we're estimating right now it's gonna cost $2 million. The Army Corps of Engineers will pay $1.3 million, and the city has come up with $700,000, and that's what we're starting to save towards now. The feasibility study is outside the $700,000.
And we already have that one set aside.
That's, we've already paid the $200,000 actually for the feasibility study.
So on the feasibility study, at any point in time over the year and a half that it takes or whatever, do they give an update that like for the residents or something of that nature? So that they're aware of that this is actually going on? A newsletter or
They
something?
don't give an update to the residents, if that's something that you would like us to do, we can certainly do that. Right now, what they're trying to determine is, what type of wall should be placed. They came last week, and we went around and looked at different walls along the Grand River, in different areas of the county, so that they could see what works and what doesn't, and if it doesn't, why it doesn't. So I spent a whole day with them.
If you went down to the southern border, they would probably see a whole bunch of different walls being built. Ideas from. I know that's not
This didn't
bad,
work, and
but-
that didn't work.
And now, it is possible with a feasibility study that it can be more than $2 million.
Oh, that's-
So it could be low, because we need to make sure that the wall that we're replacing attaches to something that is sturdy.
Yeah, I've always been interested in having that be a scenic view there. And I know that there's grant dollars that enhance scenery and scenic views. Have we looked into anything about that? That is a beautiful view right here.
We will have to look into that. We'll see what the geotechnical comes back as, but I don't know that that slope is stable enough to go out further and put the scenic view, because it's a pretty steep drop off right now.
So you're saying like they've done in the Grand Canyon, they put a glass floor?
Well, no, I'm not talking about, actually jetting out. I'm just talking about just generally having just even a bike path that's on the current road, but being able to actually see the scenery of the Grand River below. And I know that we've talked about it before, and we were hesitant to take down anything that held back or kept it from eroding, like plant material and trees and stuff like that. But I did know that there is funding available for enhancing these scenic view areas. I've read about it, I can get you some more information on it probably, but I just wondered if we could do anything like that, as long as we're enhancing this area.
What do you think about letting the residents know? How do we let the residents know?
I was thinking,
Since it's Ward 2.
a sign, just a sign. Corps of Engineers and city is looking into Bank Street thing, something that we just announced that's on our radar. Do you really want letters to go out? Is that what you're thinking? Kate?
Well, the sign would be, I mean, just something to let the people know that, we haven't forgotten about this and we've actually spent, and, in 200,000 and looking at spending 2 million.
Well, they have a neighborhood association there, I think it's simply a matter of reaching out to people that are running a meeting there.
Well, and I know whatever residents had initially been concerned, I've spoken with throughout the process. So I don't know that it's necessary to do a blanket announcement.
I like the sign.
Yeah.
There were quite a few residents who came out that are before, because they wanted to know what was going on, because there were so many vehicles, so. I
Okay.
do know that we did talk to quite a few over there last week.
So in a perfect world, 2021 is when we're moving forward with this project. In a perfect world. All right.
Yes.
But it depends on their company too.
When if we're done with that, the road paving project, that's not maintenance with the ceiling and stuff, right? That's just repairing of the roads. Would that fall under the other department for the maintenance?
Well, if you're talking about the microsurfacing, that would fall under us.
No, I'm talking about the filling cracks.
No, that is not in there.
That's not
Okay.
in our
This is strictly paving.
That's public works.
I just have one question. We mentioned and we read about one new employee for engineering. Is that for sidewalks?
Yes.
What will they be doing for?
They will be marking the city violations, they will be marking the homeowner violations, they'll be sending out letters to homeowners, they'll be following the construction crew around, and they'll be writing the specs and writing the violation letters.
And we've started some of that already, correct?
We have started the city responsible ones.
Because I know that there's been some spots along the way.
They do.
When this person comes on board, there's, when I went to a conference, they talked about, it was Rocky River, I believe, I'm not sure if it was Lakewood or not, that had similar to this, where they did not replace all of the slabs, they were able to slice them, not grinding it down. It was a different process that they were using. The guy specifically told me it was only $75 a slab instead of $250 or whatever. So the other thing was, the people that did have little windows in their front lawn, by the trees, if they replaced the slabs, the trees wouldn't come down. So I guess that would be something that council would need to discuss, or how would that go? Or is that not even an option?
I would say that's not really an option. But if council wants to do a work session and give us a different direction, then.
I guess I would like to have that discussion with council, just to get the other 6 individuals on what their thoughts are. Because I know in the front of, say, my house, for example, it might save the city 3 slabs being replaced.
Jim, am I correct that you sent an article about that to us? And what kind of response did you get to that?
Say that again, please?
Am I correct that you sent an article about this process to us?
Not yet. I was waiting until after this,
Okay.
and I will be sending out stuff in the next couple of weeks. So maybe we'll do it that way and see what happens. Okay. Never mind.
We're good? All right.
Next, we're at council's budget and clerk of council's budget. You guys will see it's basically the same as last year. Your money available for education and training is going to be a total of $22,750. And stuff that's available for other contractual, $17,000. This is exactly the same as it was in 2018. And nothing really has changed, and council doesn't have any capital. So any questions on your guys' budget? Next is the city manager's budget. You'll see her budget went down, and we used to pay 10% of Doug's salary out of Monica's account, but Doug was getting spread out over 6 different accounts, and he was getting too confusing. And Monica didn't want to be associated with Doug managers, so just get him out of here.
I was gonna say physically or financially.
That's why the city manager's budget dropped. It used to be 10% of the salary, now it's all they need. Their IT budget went down, we had some. We thought we might have some more IT expenses in 2018. Turns out we didn't have to do it, so Monica was able to decrease her IT budget in 2019. She doesn't have any capital. Of course, she's right there. If you guys have any questions about her budget.
What can you spend that information technology? Where does that money go? Is that to the county?
What was that?
The information technology, is that to the county for
Yes.
that?
So,
It's a wonderful job, you do.
yeah, Amanda actually does all of the invoicing, that gets paid out of our account. So that's why every purchase, computer, or whatever, goes through the city manager's office, so that we can stay on top of where the money's going.
Okay, next is the communications department. This is just the 20% of the general funds. You see that this budget, that just the general fund portion of it went up over $17,000. This is employee of one. Any questions on this?
Just to clarify, some of the expenses that are going to be taken from this account were expensed out of other accounts. So the budget increase is pulling from other accounts as well. So although it's a huge increase, there's other areas of other people's budgets that decreased.
Okay, next we have the courts. The courts, they do a very good job with their budget. For all their total budget is going to be about $1.4 million. They have about $55,000 of capital, but all that is paid for with court money. There's no general fund money being spent on their capital. And Nick is here to go over his budget.
Thank you, Nikki. And on behalf of Judge Cicconetti, Judge, thanks all of you for the support over the years. And working with everybody. It's been a great relationship, and it's going to be a great relationship again in 2019. We want to make sure that, thank you guys for continued support. As you can tell, our budget is really pretty simple. Very little comes out of the general operating budget. All of that has been taken out over the years. We really focus and do a lot of spending from our special projects, from our computer and our 415, which is a capital. That's where all of our capital items are going to be coming out next year, really from the 415 account. Only $10,000 coming from the computer fund. So we'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Just a quick note, though, a lot of it is computer generated, really computer related. We continue to work on our paper on demand. We've heard that over the years, and we're making great progress. So e-filing is taken off on the criminal traffic side. We're one of the few courts in the state of Ohio that has actually e-filing, and it's working out tremendously. And we're only looking to grow with that. We're looking for some more grant money next year from the Supreme Court. I'll apply to upgrade our whole server. Hopefully we'll get that. That's not included in the budget. That include that for a reason. But really, we're very pleased. Questions?
So the judge and so forth is happy with the audiovisual and the camera work and all that stuff?
We've done a lot of work with our company, BIS. We've had many problems, but about 3-4 months ago, we had them fly up here, a whole team, and they corrected it.
Okay.
So we have not had any problems with our system. We have our own system, though, our recording, and we have our own cameras that are set up for years.
Okay.
So,
I saw in the goals and objectives, one of the goals that you had was to upgrade the physical structure of the court facility. Can you kind of talk about what that looks like for you guys?
the physical structure, I budgeted $15,000, and what we're trying to do is I'm going to take a look at the probation area. Some of the offices need some updates. They haven't been updated probably since 2000, even before then. The whole back area, the judge's back area, the law library, we still have a lot of work to do. We still have money left over from this year that we're still working on, that we're going to carry over to this year. But trying to kind of clean it up.
Does that include new chairs for courtroom 2?
I heard that before.
I'm tired of leaning in those things.
We don't want our attorneys to be too comfortable. No, actually, that is, we should replace those soon.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Again, thank you very much.
I do just want to mirror Nick's comments. The city and the court in Painesville work together very well, and it is unusual in the municipal realm to have such a great relationship. So thanks for continuing that, and I just want to counsel you.
Thank you.
Next is Peterman, and again, all the general funds, these are for the most part at 20%. Kathy's budget went up $2,700 in the general fund. The main reason for this is the $13,500 that is being budgeted for the Richmond Street study. Kathy has no capital, but she's here to discuss whatever you guys got.
Thanks for coming, but I mean, I guess I can say that, yes, the Richmond Street corridor is a focus area that we're going to be going into in this year. We also are focusing a lot on two major office buildings in the downtown Victoria Chase Bank building. We're now starting to work with the management partners for the former Michigan station. But we feel there's a lot of opportunity on Richmond Street to use some of our USDA funds to be able to do some environmental assessment and start targeting some of the sites on that area for redevelopment to more national type chains in that area. And then we're actually realigning the economic development department a little bit. Bar's duties are going to change a little bit now that we have some of the alleviation from the events, which is excellent. So we're going to have a little bit stronger focus on retail recruitment. There's going to be a bit of a training period there for her over probably the first quarter of next year, and then we're kind of going to go full force with focusing a lot more on small retail recruitment, which is very time-consuming component of our economic development efforts, and then that enables me to spend more time on business retention and expansion with our larger industries, and also focusing more on land use opportunities industry because we are struggling with the opportunities that we have to gain good manufacturing companies based on the land use opportunities that we have. And then also focusing a little bit more on the Gen District as well.
So we're not giving them the farmer's market, are we?
No, we are still doing the farmer's market, yes. Yeah, so that'll consume a lot of our time still during the summer season, but it helps us rather than being event focused all year round.
And the DPO is taking over about phase two that you've.
So on the event side, we actually sat down with the DPO and PCIC. We talked about the events that are nice but not an economic focus, and talked to both of those groups about taking over the more community-oriented events and us taking back any economic development events.
So one of the primary events that we're going to be taking back on is the business appreciation after hours, which we did this year, but also the holiday open houses. We really feel very strongly that our businesses need to be successful during that time of the year. They've got to have that push to be able to get them through the winter months, which are difficult months. And we really want to focus on getting the community as a whole to understand that these businesses will not be there if they are not supported by local residents. So we're really going to be working very hard to make a push for the holiday season, that people are spending money within our local businesses during those busy holiday spending periods.
So this may or may not tie into, it does tie into this, but I don't know how well it ties in. You know, one of the things we're talking about tying in the Richmond Street corridor. And I was wondering, I know in the past we've gotten grants for holiday decorations and things like that. And do you foresee maybe having the holiday decorations carry on down that corridor at some point? And
So that
how do
may
you
be
see like the
something-
beautification process happening?
Yeah, so, well, the main focus was because we're redoing the whole roadway at Richmond Street. So that gives us a nice, a nice foundation to start with.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of redevelopments happening with some of the sites on Richmond Street. So the McDonald's now has an outdoor patio. We're encouraging outdoor patios with the other ones. When the Arby's came in, we worked closely on their landscaping. So we're hoping to more projects, site-specific. There's a couple challenges that I have to holiday decorations. One, the banners are very difficult because all the poles are leaning on Richmond Street, and the wind just eats those alive, and they're very expensive because of the size of those banners that they need to be. So you're spending almost $4,000 on banners every 2 years if you carry them down Richmond Street, which is a huge expense. So we're really trying to focus more on property maintenance. We're talking with property owners down there about cleaning up their properties, maybe doing a little landscaping. It's really more grassroots efforts to try to get beautification going down that corridor.
You know, Kathy, something that Fairport's always had that I always thought was good, they had like a Fairport Day of Care. Kind of like what we do with United Way Day of Care. Only it's community residents helping residents to beautify their properties and things like that. I think it might be something to look into.
Thank you. Be careful about that one.
Next is the HR department. This is my office. We have 3 employees in there. Budget went down slightly in 2019, and the only capital we're asking for is one computer for $2,500. Next is the finance department. Also mine. And the utilities office. Also mine. In finance, we have 7 employees, and in the utilities office, we have 13 employees. Our finance budget went up slightly, about 1%. This is due to the rate increases. In the utilities office, it went up 4%. This was due to fuel costs going up and postage, increased costs for postage. The finance department is one of the few departments where personnel is not our main cost. The largest expense is $256,000 to pay for the regional income tax collections.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I think you said this earlier, and it made me pause for a second. Who's doing our income tax now?
Regional income tax agency. Yeah.
Did we switch to CCA at some
No,
point?
we've done with the regional income tax
Okay, so we
agency
switched from
since
CCA to
2013, I believe.
Perfect.
CCEA used to do it.
Okay, thank you, that's why I was like,
Okay.
I just had to.
No, no problem.
Good.
So what is the software that you're purchasing for?
So, the city's current finance software is no longer going to be supported by the end of 2021. This handles the finance software, the payroll software, and the utility software. We originally thought that this was going to cost close to $1 million. We've been getting quotes on a lot of this stuff already, and one of them came back real close to $1 million, but one is also just coming in around $500,000. So the general fund's going to pay for half of the 250, and the utilities are going to pay for half of the 250, or half of the 500. So everybody's going to pay 250. The good news is, it doesn't look like we're going to need $1 million now. So the plan was to set aside $500,000 in 2019, and then come back to you guys and ask for another $500,000. Now it's looking like I just need to come to you guys more. So,
And that includes software and hardware,
yes.
training,
Yes, training and everything. Our current software system is CMI. We've had it for about 30 years. It's old, it's done its job, but it's really starting to die on us.
Does it have all the functionality of the things that we've kind of talked about doing over the years?
It will have a lot more bells and whistles that we have now. Yes, and it will have a lot of capabilities for it.
What is the name of the software?
Well, we're still going through that process. We're looking at several companies. We'll make sure we vet them very strongly, but we're looking at like 3 or 4 companies right now. But the problem is, the finance department only usually asks for like $2,500 for capital projects. Because we need $500,000, sort of screws the other general fund departments because I'm taking their money.
Well, you
So-
also have no capital yourself.
Right.
Like Kathy.
Right, exactly. So, fortunately, I think we're only gonna have to come to you guys for this $500,000, but unfortunately, this does hurt the police, public works, parks and recreation. It affects the capital that's available for those guys, because we're all fighting from the same pie for this.
But it makes it possible for them to get paid.
Correct. So, the finance department is asking for $535,000 for capital, with most of that going towards the new software system. Next is the police. They are the largest general fund expense. The total police budget is just under $5 million. Their budget has gone up about 7% from 2018. The reason it's going up, the fuel costs are going up, training costs are going up, specialized technical equipment going up, and the dispatch that we talked about is going up as well. They're asking for $140,000 in capital, and the police chief is here to go over his budget with you guys.
Andy, I don't know the exact numbers you may know. I know this is a decrease from last year's capital budget request, but I don't know exactly how much I don't recall. I want to say the cars alone were 175 last year.
Yeah, sounds about
So I think the total of our capital, because we recognize that we needed capital, so our total request is less than our cars alone were for last year. We feel like that's sustainable. We got 3 cars the year before, and I think 1 car will certainly get us over the hump right now, and it still won't put us in a position where at some future year we have to pound on the table and beg for 5 cars. So I want to avoid doing. And I've always, Andy and I have kind of talked about the rotation. I have a pretty worked out rotation that shows us when cars need to be replaced, and right now we are safe with only getting this 1 car. We don't like to kick the ball and say, okay, we'll do none for 2 years and then come and say 5 or 6, because if we kick the ball and then it turns into being a bad year for you guys, then it's kind of tough to do. So that's why we've tried to work it out like this. And then the watch guard video is another expense under. The watch guard video we rolled out, we tried the first 5, we have absolutely found them to be wonderful. Whenever we have a complaint
cars, right?
That's in the cars, and it's also on their person. The audio is on their person at all times. The audio is so strong, it picks them up when they're in the house talking to someone, even though the car's on the street. So we've been blown away with it, and it's really avoided us having to talk about, the body cams, which we're talking huge money. So this is
And this is going to expand that program, or
This
just?
is going to expand that program to more vehicles. We tried it on 5 vehicles. We try to drive those vehicles, but we want to get some other vehicles. We want to keep driving the same vehicles, because that's another thing that Andy and I talked about, puts pressure. We have a rotation where we try to keep some cars not in service 24/7, otherwise we start to really beat them off. So we feel pretty good about that. And then the taser replacement, our tasers had come up. We've had those for over 10 years. They were out of warranty. Taser was telling us this model is no longer serviceable. We got concerned. Our use of forces are probably a quarter of what they once were, because we were able to utilize the taser in situations where we otherwise would have had to resort to a physical struggle, and then you get injured officers, you get time off, you get injured persons. And it certainly doesn't look good on the nightly news, God forbid, if that happens. So the tasers, as a less than lethal, also Officer Cooney was given a Medal of Honor, remember, earlier in the year. They had the man that had the knife in the woman's throat. They were able to taser him instead of shooting him, and he was going to kill that woman. So that to us, the taser has been a godsend in that regard. That expense, and then Lexipol, that's the legal program we use that updates our policies and procedures, and they actually have lawyers go over this, and they shepherdize cases. So when we get a new Supreme Court case comes down, they tell us about it. We don't have to wait to find out 3 months later. We haven't been doing something, and suddenly somebody says, you were supposed to do this, you didn't. Here's my lawyer. I never like hearing my lawyer. Bad calls. And then new computers, we've stayed pretty low. That number hasn't changed in years. We have about 35 computers throughout the department between the cars and the workplace, and we try to replace those on a schedule. And Andy and I keep track of that, and we don't feel like we're threatened by that schedule right now. We're staying consistent. About 5, 6 computers a year go down, and you replace them about every 5 years. Otherwise, they get really old. Cobwebs. The software, Andy mentioned that. I was going to say, we have done a very good job with our software by utilizing a programmer out of Columbus. He's helped to make our software, renew our software, update the versions, and by doing that, we avoid having to do a wholesale change. 30 years is really, I thought mine was old until they said 30 years. I didn't realize, mine was that old. Those software programs, they are very, very expensive. When we went out the low too, we also found that there's an overwhelming expense. So I can understand where you guys are coming from on that. Other than that, the other 2 capital projects are not coming out of the general fund. Those are coming out of the court-funded. Those 2 12-5s are coming out of the court funds, not our funds.
What is technical equipment?
Technical equipment, that will actually be a new OBI machine when they come out with it. They haven't had, they had a variation of a machine, and it didn't work out well. There were a bunch of legal challenges that went on. It was thrown out completely. We couldn't use it for well over a year. Then when we could use it, we found that by using it, it turned it into a situation where we might have to have a legal expert and have to pay. Joe would have to pay for a legal expert to come in and testify, and it could create a huge amount of money for us. So we avoid using that machine. Right now, we have to go off-site. It takes a long time for us to process OBIs. It's not one of our target points anyways, but with the grant, we have certain obligations we do have to fulfill. So we'll have to do some, and when we do them, they are taking a very long time because we don't have anything on site anymore. We have to go other places. If someone's busy, we've had to take them as far as Hunter Lake or Perry.
So this will put it on set?
This will help buy that new machine, and the state tells us that it'll be ready by mid-year. That's what they're telling us. We're hoping that's what happens.
Just curious, I seem to remember in the past, have you guys looked into leasing police cars versus buying them?
They had looked into those. I know Andy and Troy have gone over that exhaustively, and we also refurbed some of those. The refurbs kind of blew up in our face. They seemed to work well, and we were able to go 0 cars for 1 year and then 1 for the next, but we kicked the ball, and we found that all 7 of them went bad in about a 6-month period. And then I actually had them calling me and saying, we don't have enough police cars for tonight. What do you want us to do? We're dropping off straw at a location and then control it on foot. Things like that. So
That's when you get on the bikes.
yeah, that's the bikes. Now we got the bikes.
So we have the horse.
And this weather, the horse and the bikes. You see a lot more of the horse and the bikes, but we ran into trouble. Now the leases, I don't know. Again, Andy could probably speak to that. Him and Troy had looked over that exhaustively. I didn't think that worked
doing okay, we were doing good, but that was when the city was hurting financially. And now that we're doing better financially, it's just better to pay for the vehicles all at once.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a big issue.
Yeah.
Leases, we get things
Oh,
because of the nature of the business, and we were getting killed on, well, yeah, well, it's a gym, we can't take this lease.
If we purchase a new car, what's the life cycle of that car?
About 5 years is what we're getting. This one we're replacing, I have it in red right here. At about the 5-year mark, you're starting to approach 100,000 miles. And 100,000 police miles is like 200,000 on a regular car, so to speak.
So how many cars does the police department actually have?
It's 13, and one is assigned to Julius, and one is assigned to the K-9 car, of course. So that leaves 11 to float around, whether it's between, the officers on side jobs, which we also increased the side job pay for the city side quite a bit this year to make sure that we more than make up for the usage of cars on side jobs.
One of the questions when we were at the town hall meeting, the question they asked is, and they asked the question, how many officers are actually working per shift?
And it's usually 5, and
Hopefully
sometimes.
all of them are working.
Yeah, they are.
How many people are actually on, a shift?
5 is the minimum they can go to. Most days of the week, you'll find between 5 and 7.
Does that put one officer in each one of the zones?
It does, always, there's always one, always
And
one.
then there's an officer on duty, or what's the fifth guy?
The supervisor on duty is always the 5th guy.
Alright.
That's the bare minimum. And then if you have, for instance, 7, you might have 2 in your busier zone. So if we know there's been a lot of problems up in the north end of town, we try to assign them there. We know there's a problem in the south end, we'll assign them to south.
Okay.
I saw in your report that this is the first time in several years we've been fully staffed, so congratulations on that. How many retirees are we expecting in this coming year?
Funny you say that. John Tycotti told us yesterday, it
Yeah.
does look like probably early January, John's gonna go. You won't miss him though, because he is asking to go part-time. It's a huge help to us at the City Hall Security, which we need more people. We're understaffed there. We keep having to use the CSO to fill that spot, which isn't efficient, that hurts us. So John will be a welcome addition to the City Hall. You'll be seeing a lot of him.
So he's the only anticipated retiree?
John is the only anticipated retiree that we know of right now. Yeah. Everyone else is telling us they're staying. Some are eligible, but they're staying.
So the policemen purchase their own guns.
We get their gun for it.
We get
Well, those at the City Hall, they do. Yeah, specials. Our special police officers do purchase their own gun.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't purchase them.
Vests?
The vest, there's a grant reimbursement. The city, we get 75% back through a grant anyways for the officers too. So the city ends up picking up like 25%.
Okay.
That's been a huge help. We've had that grant for, not gonna, we keep getting that grant for about 7 or 8 years we've been doing it. So it's really reduced our vest reimbursement cost, which encourages also the officers to get them because they get reimbursed a certain amount too.
Thank you.
Next is Chief Malachek. I don't know, I think the guy's been here for 70 years or something. Finally getting rid of him, but
It was those old pumpers.
Oh, sorry.
you got an old picture of the chief being sworn in there.
Whoa.
The other one, it does say Malachek on the back of that jacket. We had to go back 30 years upon him working, but we did that. I don't even know what's going on this winter. I'm not going to touch that one sheet. But it looks like he's getting yelled at by his boss there, which used to that, I guess. But Chief, thank you. You've been a great asset to the city, and we're really going to miss you. All right. Fire's budget has gone up. They're the second largest general fund expense. One of the reasons for the big increase is the $600,000 grant that the fire department's getting. The money's going to be coming in, but we're going to be sending out to other communities as well. They are requesting about $262,000 for capital, but all that's being paid for with the fire levy money. And both of the chiefs are here to go over it, or one of them, I'm not sure.
Well, this budget, while Tom and I worked together to put the budget together,
really got no dog in the fight. Budget is going to be Tom's next year, so I can explain where we're at.
Thank you. To talk about our capital purchases that we're going to make next year, the first thing on the list is a defibrillator. We are purchasing a new heart monitor defibrillator for our use in our ambulances at a cost of roughly $32,000. And this is replacing an old monitor defibrillator that was originally purchased in 2005, which has reached the end of its service life. The company made it on the letter that they're no longer supporting any repairs to it. It doesn't work nearly as well as the newer units. And the new monitor we're going to be getting has a lot more current technology, which helps our paramedics monitor vital signs quickly, more efficiently, and provides improved patient outcomes. We're looking at purchasing a new rescue boat this year. Our old Zumro rigid hull inflatable, which was purchased in 2006, has exceeded its 10-year service life. We won't hold there anymore, and the repairs are going to be cost more than it's worth to get fixed. It's just not feasible to repair it. We're looking at a John Boat style platform rescue boat, which will be it'll increase our rescue capabilities, have much better durability in the river. When we hit things, obviously during high water, there's lots of things floating around the river. This will not, the hull won't be damaged as easily, and the life cycle is much greater than an inflatable boat. There's really no set life cycle on this new boat. It should be much longer. We're also going to purchase a new motor compatible trailer with that. And hopefully we'll maybe be able to recoup a few dollars by selling the current trailer in order that we have the boat. It's not we plan to replace a fire prevention staff car this year. We have a 2002 Crown Victoria, which is in very poor condition. It's got body rust through the front winders, just about falling off, and it has about 81,000 miles on it. It was purchased new in 2002. And our new vehicle we're looking at is an all-wheel drive sedan, which gives our fire prevention officer better capability in our inclement weather. And we won't have to put a lot of lights or signs or anything into that because he doesn't do any emergency response, so it's going to save us some money there. The biggest expense we have this year out of capital is a new ambulance for $160,000. We're going to be replacing a 2009 Ford ambulance, which is in fair poor condition. It's got some outer body rust and corrosion. It's had some mechanical issues with the motor and electrical issues within the ambulance body. It has over 100,000 miles on it, and it's cost us about $26,000 in maintenance over the last 3 years, roughly $9,000 a year. The new squads that we've purchased in 2015 and 2017 have averaged about $875 a year in maintenance. So we have had very significant maintenance costs with this ambulance. It has a motor that's kind of known in the industry as a grenade. It's just we're waiting for the pin to fall out. We had one of our other Ford diesel ambulances blow up like that, and we've been able to keep this running with maintenance, but not hopeful for it for much longer. And this purchase helps us complete our original capital improvement plan that Chief Malachek started to get 3 new squads and establish a rotation for a chassis refit every 7-year cycle. The company we purchased our ambulances for does most of their business in retrofitting their own ambulances, and they have their ambulance bodies on 3 to 6 different chassis before the body's shot. So save us a significant amount of money to do a chassis refit every 7 years, and we're right on, with this purchase, we'll be right on that plan to go forward. And the last thing I have is, it wasn't on Andy's list, but we were very fortunate this past year to receive a grant from FEMA through the Assistance to Firefighters, working with Painesville Township, Fairport Harbor, and Mentor Lake Fire Departments. We received a grant for $621,000 to purchase new air packs. We had budgeted in the coming year out of our fire levy $220,000 to replace our own air packs, and we're looking at a rough outlay of somewhere between, the most we're going to spend is $57,000 out of that $220,000 if we have cost overruns because the original grant was for almost 800,000. FEMA cut us back a little bit on that. But we're working with the air pack manufacturers to get our best prices, and we should be able to come in at the $621,000 for everybody the equipment they want. The regional grant, as Andy explained, we are the host department, so we have to take all the funds in and distribute all the funds. So each department's share will come to us, and that's a 10% match on the grant for each department. And then we purchase all the equipment, it all comes here, and we have memorandums of understanding with all the departments, how the equipment is distributed when it comes in. The new air packs are replacing our air packs that are 15 years old. There's been 3 newer versions out since we purchased ours in 2003, and all of our cylinders are reaching their max service life, which means after 15 years we can't use them anymore. They can't be refilled. And the new packs are lighter, more comfortable, and they can also, the harnesses can be removed for laundering, which helps with our cancer prevention programs that we're dealing with in the fire service right now. Cylinders are lighter and easier to change out, and the new packs can contain technology that can track the location of the firefighter when they're in the building. And we'll be able to track any of the firefighters from the departments that come to help us as well. If somebody gets disoriented, injured, trapped, we're able to track them with this device and find them quickly in the event that that happens, so we can get them out. And they're also compatible with the mass-mounted thermal imagery that we currently use. That's about everything I have. Any questions? Yes, Mr.
This might be more of an Andy question. The fire levy fund 220 old and fire improvement levy 236. Can you, and what is the year, what do we yearly get for the fire levy?
So in the fire levy, that's the old, on 220, that's the old one. We get about $100,000 a year in there. And then the new one, we bring in about $365,000 a year. And that's one 236.
So that's the one that we just approved on the ballot last year.
Yes,
And then-
that's one that got renewed.
Renewed.
Yes.
And then the 220, is that ever going to go
That's,
away?
no, that's permanent levy, and we had that, I don't know, since when? Okay. And that brings in roughly $100,000 each year.
Yes, or used to be in that regionalization group with the different firefighters, or fire departments, yeah. Is there any?
Do you want to update?
Oh, actually, we just had a meeting, because I'm a new chief coming in, there are a couple other new chiefs in the area. Chief Sabo got us together, kind of explain the function of the COG, and we are looking to revitalize that, hopefully. There will be a meeting coming up in the near future. I believe Colonel Chelsky's going to contact everybody and let them know when that's coming up. I haven't been on that yet, but we are hopefully going to reestablish that COG. There's some planned purchases for the east end of the county that the fire chiefs think that would be a good application of that COG. So we're looking forward to moving forward with that.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you. Next is Public Works. Their total budget for 2019 is going up to be around $1.6 million. One of the bigger increases that we're having is the increase of salt. Salt prices for 2019 are going from $27 a ton to over $44 a ton. Another increase that the Public Works Department is the street maintenance that we pay to, say around 2 maintenance that we pay to the county. It's going to be $147,000 in 2019. This is up $18,000 from 2018. Their asphalt costs are going up a little bit. Their utilities costs are going up, and their fuel costs are going up as well. He's requesting just under $200,000 for his capital. The $125,000 for a new plow truck, that only pays for half of it. So we're asking for $125,000 this year. We'll set it aside Next year, we're gonna come back to you guys, ask you for another $125,000 to pay for the other half of the truck, and then we'll purchase the truck in 2020. And Brian's here for any questions.
On sweeper rebuild, I just want to touch on that for a minute. I know you guys, when we did the tour of the public works, so we got a chance to look firsthand at some of the equipment and stuff we use day in and day out. That is, the cabin chassis are in pretty good shape for that sweeper. It's a 2002 Elgin, it's on a Sterling cabin chassis. The back motor is about 4 years old. Obviously, the engine is the original engine, about a year or so ago. We had the head rebuilt on it. It's a solid piece of equipment, but the over 16, 17-year period, that back body has taken a beating, sucking up obviously all the debris from the oil. So that will get replaced as opposed to purchasing a new sweeper between $270,000 and $280,000. So I think we're required through the stormwater permit to sweep twice a year in the entire city. So this is a way we can keep this thing on the road without breaking the bank.
So the sidewalk plows, are we good to go there as we start looking at our never mind. That's right. How many actual, sorry, can you refresh my, how many actual plow trucks do we have?
We have 8 2.5-ton trucks. We have about 6 pickups during the day shift. We'll have those completely filled as discussed earlier in the year. We're going to be going back to 2 shifts. We'll have 2 shifts staffed. Vendors of snowstorm 24/7. We'll supplement the day shift with additional personnel from various departments that the department heads are very generous with their personnel. Evening and weekend staffing will be my department only. But during a daytime event, we could have all those trucks, including other equipment and vehicles from other departments. So we could have more than 8, we could have 15 to 16 pieces of equipment on the road.
And how many miles do we cover?
125 lane miles
Okay.
in the city. We take care of, obviously, Richmond, Jackson, 20. I mean, those take priority because of just the amount of volume of traffic and emergency personnel traveling to and from.
Brian, why did this all go up so much?
I wish I could tell you.
So far.
It's just.
You know what, in actuality though, we're a little bit blessed because if you look at surrounding counties, Iowa County, they're paying over $64 a ton. When you go out to bid with the states, as opposed to going individually, you're hoping for the increased quantities, the better pricing, you're at the mercy of the bid pricing. So in actuality, the Andy says over $44 a ton. It's pretty good shape. It's one of the lower prices in the entire state. So it's coming from Morton Salt this year, right up the road.
Leanne just said that down southern one, it's over $200 a ton.
There's 4 contractors that bid on salt projects. So if you go out on your own, you either risk the chance of not having your quantity bid on or paying more than what the state pricing comes in.
How many trucks do we have that can put that brine or whatever on the road?
Okay, we have truck 25 is a 500-gallon tank that exclusively sprays brine only. The 4 new trucks, they are able to spray brine at the spinner. In other words, they're able to spray the salt prior to it exiting the spinner and onto the road, so that salt will actually stick to the road as opposed to bounce and scatter. But exclusively, we have 1 500-gallon tank truck that has a 500-gallon tank. We get our brine from ODOT. They're very generous with us. We fill up 24/7. You'll see my guys out on the road. We could brine up to 2 weeks in advance, as long as there's no rain, to wash it off the road. The brine will stick, the water will evaporate, the brine will stick to the road, and then when it snows, you have a barrier to separate the snow to get that hard pack that sometimes happens. When it snows hard, and before our trucks are able to get on the road and treat the roads. Thank you.
Next is recreation. is just over $1.1 million. This is a slight increase from last year. The main place to see the increase is Fund 770. That has increased by $13,000. And the main reason for the increase is the dog park. I believe $10,000 or $11,000 of this was donated by PCIC. And then there was also another $2,000 or $3,000 donation in there for the $13,000 that's going to be spent on the dog park. They're asking for just under $93,000 for capital. And Michelle is here to discuss her budget and have any questions for you guys.
I noticed, and I apologize, I checked my totals and everything when Andy sent this out, but I just noticed that the ADA ramp and the masonry support walls, the totals are transposed. So the ADA ramp repairs were the $8,450. And the need of that is the fact that we softened so much and it's causing the brick that needs, it's deteriorating brick that needs to be tuck pointed. It's also pulled the cement from the walls, so we need to seal that, and then we need to seal the brick on the walls too. This will prevent us from having to replace it. If we don't do some maintenance, it'll cost over $50,000 to replace the ADA ramp. The masonry wall, support walls that are being replaced are, when you come out of City Hall, that wall by the planting bed, it's ready to cave in, and the wall by the steps. And the problem is because of drainage, the drain goes right into that bed, and then the freezing and thawing is pushing on those walls. And they compromise the integrity of the whole wall system, so those need to be replaced or it's going to collapse. We have a buster violation we've been working on dealing with at the cemetery facility. It's back from 1991. So I just became aware of it in February. We started with the tier 1. We did that. They found a lot of contamination still in the soil, so we had to go into delineation. And once the delineation is completed, the tier 2 is at $25,000 to complete that and satisfy Buster's requirements from the city.
Is that for the asphalt?
Yeah, no, that's not the gas. There was a tank, like a fuel tank that was removed in 1991, and it found a lot of contamination at the time. And they excavated to where they were actually underneath the building, so they had to stop excavating, and then nobody was doing it anymore. And I guess they've been sending lots of letters. So I got a letter that said they're going to start finding us $25,000 a day if we don't do something. So we're moving ahead and we are making them happy. Park improvements are just, again, we're doing continuing with the rubber mulch. We're going to do Lathrop Park this year, the playground structure and the swing set, but we're also going to resurface the basketball court at the park. It's in really bad shape. I get a lot of calls, complaints for that. Along with the resurfacing, we have to do drainage work there, because if we don't, then it's just going to deteriorate again. So that's where it's $30,000. And our columbarium that we put in 2 years ago at Riverside Cemetery this fall. So we're putting in another columbarium at Riverside Cemetery. There's that in which is
So the money that Andy mentioned for the dog park, that's all donated though.
It's all donated, yeah. It's actually from PCSC. 10,000 towards the development of the dog park, and once it's completed, 3,000 for the benches.
And so we have that, or it's coming next year?
Whenever I tell them I want it, it's sitting there.
How many urns does the urn hold?
Well, the way it was designed, the one that we're putting in right now, I think it only holds 24. The way it was designed, there's one that has 48, there's a 24. We got to put in the other 24 before I can put in the 48, or we won't be able to get to it. So 6 niches available at Evergreen, because those niches actually had front and back, I'm sorry, those structures have front and back niches to them. The ones that were originally selected for Evergreen, I don't know why they only did it on the side there, so we don't get as much for our money. I do want to, when we get to the 48 one, I want to do it on both sides, so just because it makes more sense.
So does that mean there'd be 96?
Yes.
So we have 96 drawers?
They're little squares,
Squares.
and it holds 2 permissions, 2 sets of permissions.
And are we, there's 3 levels?
This 24 one, there's 3 levels, but the other one is 5. And we want to have it on both sides. Yeah. And so, but that would be the next goal, just because the way the layout is, we have to kind of follow it.
Snow plowing?
Sidewalks.
Yeah, our sidewalk plows are great. We have 2 of them. We just need, we have like a small in our budget, we could replace the cutting edges and the plows, but they're,
So how many actual drivers are there
we have 6.
that are trained in driving these?
And so they do 2-week rotations. So 2 guys are like on call for 2 weeks, and then we have another 2 guys on call for 2 weeks, and another 2 guys. Because we only go out when there's oranges or more.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
We're at 4 inches?
Yeah.
And do we get the housing part?
Yes, we do.
Do you drive down there or do you car them?
Oh, no, they drive because they have a route, so they're working their way back there with the machine. The biggest issue we have is where we push the snow, because there's not a lot of tree lawn space or a lot of area to pile the snow. So between the plowing and the sidewalk plowing, that becomes an issue.
The other part is, and I don't know if you do this by hand or how you do it, but the sidewalks over 44 on Menor Avenue.
Yeah, that's actually Public Works.
Yes.
So what we have to do for those is actually
That's
shut
Public
down
Works.
a lane and back plow off of those sidewalks. We can't use the sidewalk plows because it's not wide enough.
Okay.
Have you got your parking straight?
No.
Get all that? Yeah.
And is that 2, 4 inches, or how, what's the trigger on that one?
For 44,
Sure.
I think it's when they have a chance.
The only reason I say this, I know I got a couple of calls last year
Yeah,
about this.
yeah. So the streets are a priority and then the sidewalk. So whenever we can get a chance to get to that sidewalk, we like to do it on a later shift so that when we shut down a lane, we're not blocking the traffic flow or a lot of traffic flow on
No, but
20.
since I haven't seen this, how is it done? You
We'd have to shut down a lane over that bridge.
Okay.
Set up a work zone, work within that work zone, back drag it out of the street, scoop it up, put it in a dump and haul it away.
okay.
To get it, we'd have to physically remove it from the location.
So you just can't put a sidewalk plow on the sidewalk and then a truck on the street?
No.
So
The
the
sidewalk
sidewalk
is
is
not
pushing it
wide
on there and then that goes there?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, next is Doug's. You'll see in community develop, or you see in code enforcement, his budget did actually go down. There was a vacant inspector position that hasn't been filled since 2017, so we eliminated that spot. It hasn't been filled in 2018. Doug said he didn't need it, so we were able to get rid of that. Doug is asking for almost $4 million in capital. 3.1 of this is to bury the electric lines at the High Point Center. I don't know if it's Doug's project or Jeff's project. It's electric money. Doug's probably going to oversee it, but it's electric's paying for it. And Doug is here to help you guys with anything you need.
Basically, finally gave me a capital budget.
And somebody else's.
There's a reason.
It is somebody else's money, basically. The first project, the can't see that far, but South St. Clair Street parking lot. Community Development is requesting an additional $300,000 in capital funding to bid the work of construction of the parking lot. As council may remember, this is really the Victoria Place or behind Victoria Place. We bid it out last year and it came in much higher than the engineer's estimate. So we're budgeting an additional funds. We hope to bid this project out early in the year. And one of the other things that we're going to do is identify potential bidders and make sure that they get the bid document early so that they can schedule this project in advance. Let's see, the second project is the North Park Place streetscape improvement or Park Place transportation and safety improvement. The city applied for and received funding from a variety of sources for this project to basically make improvements on the north end of Park Place. With the expansion of the administration building, we saw an opportunity to apply for grant funding to carry the streetscape improvements around the corner from Main Street into onto Park Place. We received a grant in the amount of $303,699 from Lake County Commissioners through CDBG, and we also received a grant from NOACA for $150,000. The city budgeted initially $90,000 for the engineering, and then whatever remains from that engineering, we will also be putting towards the project, but that money is already encumbered. The improvements will include brick streets in that portion of the project, streetscape enhancements, drainage improvements, narrowing of crosswalk for safety purposes, bumping out the northeast portion of Veterans Park. This is something that we had always talked about. I mean, bumping the park out a little bit more and improved parking so that people will actually be able to park in front of the county administration building. Initially, we didn't include brick streets in the project, but it does include brick streets at the request of council. New computer purchase, basically, it's something that we budget for yearly. Our computers are on a rotational basis, so we will replace one computer next year. The connectivity planning or Painesville Complete Street and Connectivity Plan, the city applied for and received TLC grant through NOACA in the amount of $85,000. So that $85,000 is all grant funding. Basically what it is, it's a planning grant. So we will be moving forward, hopefully in February, to bring all the stakeholders together, get input on the road design along Washington Street, basically down Washington Street, going on to State, and then connecting into Recreation Park. That was the area that we wanted to look at for a complete street. Kind of how we connect the college to the downtown and to Recreation Park. So that's what we'll be working on. The purchase of the conduit, the city currently contracts to put in underground conduit in our new developments. And basically what this would be is we would be purchasing additional conduit. Similar to what we do with our poles, where we lease out our poles. If we have the hole open, it seems to make sense to put additional conduit in, and then we will lease that conduit to the telephone company, the cable companies, and things of that nature. So we have budgeted money. We want to plan in advance, and it's good planning so that we don't have to dig it up again, or somebody doesn't have to dig up the right of way. If the conduit is there, they have to use our conduit and lease the conduit from the city. So that's one of the things that we're looking at. In addition, while we're very early on in the broadband feasibility study, if the broadband feasibility study comes back and eventually says it's feasible to run broadband to these out into the neighborhoods, the conduit will already be there, so we will not have to put any additional conduit. So we budgeted $100,000 for that. And the final project is the Lake East or burying the current electric lines at that site. The city has a number of overhead lines in the area of Washington and High Streets. In order to facilitate the development and make it more attractive to potential developers, we're requesting the funding to bury those lines. Whether we work something out with a potential developer, most likely that will be part of what our responsibility will be. So we wanted to make sure that we budgeted that in advance. This will require the engineering and design as well as the installation of the conduit and any equipment. And that's all I have.
Dave, when you say brick roads, are you talking about stamped brick roads or actual?
It will actually be brick roads.
If someone was looking to see what the picture would look like of this bump out, is there a drawing of it somewhere on our website?
There is not a drawing on the website. We
We have a hard copy of the streetscape plan upstairs, we can get you a picture of it.
we can put that on the website.
Yeah.
And then the $85,000 for the study, is that someone coming from the outside?
That's a planning grant. We will work with NOACA. That is part of the requirement that you work with NOACA.
So is it someone that NOACA?
Yes, they have certified contractors, and we are required to work with them and choose one of those contractors to perform the planning study. Thank you.
All right, the last general fund department is planning. This is Lynn's department. You'll see her budget ask on our, if you recall, Doug's salary used to be paid out of the city manager's account. We took that out, and now it's all put into Lynn's. I know, Lynn's stuff. Or Lynn.
Two-headed twins, right?
Lynn doesn't have any capital, but she's free for any questions.
Questions?
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Moving on to the utilities, all the utility funds have a budget deficit in 2019. However, we do expect all the revenues in the utility funds to increase slightly. We have several large capital projects. The continuation of the water intake is going to be $8 million. If you recall, we're paying for this with the interest-free loan, so we're not paying for this just yet, but once we start making the debt payments on this, it's going to be roughly $800,000 a year in debt payments for the new water intake.
For how many years?
20 years. Electric capital projects is $4.4 million, which 3.1 of it is to bury the electric lines at the new High Point Center. Okay, this is the electric fund. And proposed revenue for the electric is just under $28 million. This is a 5% increase from 2018. The expenses are projected to be $28.4 million. This is an 8% increase from 2018. The main reason for the increase is purchase power costs going up by $2 million in 2019. The electric fund will have a budget deficit of over $656,000 in 2019.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
On the power, so I know that we've got some contracts that are falling off, and those are expensive. And they will fall off in 2019, and we'll get into 2020. So we'll have less expensive power starting in 2020.
Hopefully.
Is that where these increases are coming from, because of that particular, I mean, we were paying a fixed amount for that, so we're buying more power, which is making an increase, or?
So really, the biggest portion of any of our power purchase increase is partially the hydros on the Ohio River, partially transmission cost from First Energy, and a little bit of capacity, but it's mostly the Ohio River hydro and transmission costs. So Paul has been working with OMEA and has been working with APPA to fight the transmission costs at the state and federal level, because First Energy is building a ton of transmission without oversight, because there's basically a guarantee of 12% return on investment. So we're seeing that in our power purchase costs because we pay for transmission of our projects to us over First Energy lines.
Right, kind of regulate that too, so.
Right.
It's control spending and profits.
The total 2019 electric budget is going to be $32.9 million. It's up about a few $100,000 from 2018, which again, the increases, the purchase power. Their largest cost for expense are the utilities, which is the purchase power. Second largest expense is personnel cost. And then the third largest expense is their capital, which will be $4.4 million. Jeff is requesting just over $1 million in capital, but you have to remember, we're also transferring out the $3.1 million from the electric reserve fund into the electric construction that Doug talked about. And Jeff is here to discuss his capital in the electric department.
Okay, good evening. Basically, after the 3.1 million was taken, we have $11 million. What we're looking at is the top part is the lower plant. The chimney is, we recently had it inspected and it needs to, some repair done. So that's the estimate we got from the inspection company, about $200,000. Right after that, the turbine generators are going to need some testing also, and then underneath there, inspections on number 5 and number 7 turbines. This is a insurance requirement, although they performed admirably this summer to help us cut our costs. The other $40,000 is into fiber optic upgrades, and the other purchasing the computers on a regular basis. We're replacing the computers here, one at the plant and a couple further down on the over distribution. New vehicle there, the $35,000 is to replace a 1998 Jeep Cherokee that originally started in the city over at distribution and wandered its way over to the plant for the last couple of years. So we've had it for about 20 years. So that a good life, we're very pleased with it, but it's time to move on. Let's see what purchasing and distribution. The other stuff is usual or typical capital improvement stuff, industrial transformers, underground electric installation, part of the streetlight program, some buried cable project. The system upgrade is for equipment to upgrade on some of the feeders we're looking at to minimize outages, such as reclosers, automated reclosing, and stuff like that. The new truck is a 2-man bucket truck, which is a 2009, and it's right about the edge of where we like to keep them. 10 years is a good life cycle, a good recycle for electrical trucks. It hasn't, we don't want to get into a situation where you have people up around live lines and then realize that there's a mechanical problem. So we like to keep it around 10 years to keep that going. And the new trailer part is an idea. We went to a underground repair class, and some of the other municipalities in the area, they have all their underground equipment in the trailer, so that when the call comes that we have an underground problem, the guys come, they hook up the and all the equipment's right there, and it makes it much faster to get people back. So we're looking at, that's probably the newest addition to what, for the next year that we're looking at. And that's all I have.
How many miles on a coffee truck?
Pardon?
How many miles are on a coffee truck?
We're about 40,000. But it's a rough 40,000 in odd weather and in difficult circumstances. We basically more go on the age than we do on mileage.
How many bucket trucks do you have?
We have, this particular type is the larger ones, with the two-man buckets. There's 2 of those, and then you have 2 of the smaller, like single-man streetlight, kind of referred to sometimes as like cherry pickers, or usually getting a little bit lower. And then the tree crew has a single-man larger bucket, so a total of 5.
Shoot.
This has nothing to do with the budget, but I've had a couple people ask me, why did we take those trees out in front of that water area facility? All those, used to have all those nice.
Those evergreen trees.
All those evergreen trees. And
Used to
people
be
ask me,
along that fence on Richmond Street,
Oh, that's,
north of the power plant.
maybe that's a different department, but I just.
no, we took them out
Why?
because of the new poles that are right there that don't quite look as nice, but that's where the new switchgear building circuits are coming out there. So the trees were kind of in the way, and then we've been working with Michelle, we're going to re-landscape it.
Okay, so I just tell them it's gonna be re-landscaped.
Are you putting some trees back? Are you putting trees back in, evergreens? Did you take the evergreens and donate them to somewhere for Christmas?
They've been gone a long time.
Just checking.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next is water. Their proposed revenues for 2019 is $4,660,000. This is a slight increase from 2018. Their expenses are just going to be just under $4.7 million. This is a 3% decrease from 2018. The reason the decrease in expenses, we continue to pay off debt. We just paid off some big debt with the water department, so their expenses have dropped. They'll have a budget deficit of just under $40,000, but this actually is getting a lot better. In 2018, their budget deficit was $189,000, so we are getting that number in a better area. Their largest expenses is for the capital outlay, with $8 million going towards the water intake. Right now, they're telling us that the water intake should be done hopefully by fall of 2019. And Randy is here to discuss his capital.
Yes. The water capital for this year. Ms. Campbell. Thank you. Easier working with your mother.
Hey.
So, we'll go through this briefly. The Pine Hill water line replacement, $473,000. That's part of an OPWC grant along with our funds. It's out in Concord Township. We've had a lot of main breaks over the last 15, 20 years. So that's going to get replaced. Button water line replacement, that's a grant that's pending. And working with Leanne on the roads. It's a bottleneck area for one of our mains that come into the city. We hope to be able to increase that site, provide increased water pressures through that corridor and put out into Concord Township. Watson Street, that's a small segment. It's not so much a design as actual construction. We're to come over underneath Jackson Street before that construction begins. Then we wouldn't have to tear it up in the future and replace the road. Skinner Avenue design, once again, that's part of an OPWC grant that we'll be applying for and city funding. Once again, working with the roads, but doing the design and getting ahead of it so that we meet that criteria for OPWC funding. Carbon feed system, that's an Ohio EPA mandate to have a new increased volume carbon feed system for the water plant. That's money that we're going to be setting aside, correct?
Yes.
So the estimated cost could be between $300,000 and $500,000 depending on which design is laid out for us. As you all know, the new water intake is under construction, $8 million. Question of the million.
That's based on what the engineers have told us that we've already appropriated close to 13 million. They think 8 million is going to get us to the, I'm not saying the total cost is going to be 21 million, but this should get us through the end of the total project.
Gotcha.
Total project probably come in around 16 or 17 million.
Right, exactly. The new truck is a truck for distribution. It's replacing a truck that's used by one of our inspectors. From what I've been told, it's a little, about 10 years old, quite a few miles, and our inspections go all the way to Geauga County and Concord Township, so they want to go a lot. New trailer is to haul equipment around, backhoe parts, buckets and things of that nature, plus the unit we use for the trench box. Right now, we're kind of hauling around the back of one of the trucks. Building improvements is out at the water treatment plant. We got a wall falling down. We've got some new windows and doors replaced and some roof segments to repair. Filter loss is head gauges at the treatment plant for the filters to filter the water. Just going through that process design. A couple computers there at the plant, one's for the lab and one's for the superintendent. Elm Street project, that's a laydown area that I went through you all last this year. That's a $10 lease that we have for 4 acres out there. It would be a fenced in area, that's the money's for fenced in. Provide places for the water department lake pipe valves. I think right now we're kind of jostling for area over at the Public Works building. It's also a place to put our spoils. If you've seen, we put our spoils in some areas where we shouldn't be, and we're getting those cleaned up as we speak. Cryo pump station, that's a pump replacement out in one of the pump stations that we have for that pressure district. The sludge pit pump is basically, the one word was put on there, the hoist. So that's a new hoist to pull that pump up when we're doing cleanup on the raw wells. And then the last one is a low service pump. That's repairs only on one of the pumps at the water plant. Just to bring you up to date, they've been making quite a bit of progress on new water intake, and we're, in the last week, we went out another 100 feet. So as of today, we're 200 feet out into the lake bed. Questions?
What's the total run length that we're trying for?
About 4,500 feet.
Okay.
Yeah. We changed design, not design, we changed construction method, the contractor did. We went from a process that was requiring the digging to be done with a lot of personnel in. We were getting a lot of water leaking into the tunnel, so they went with a micro tunneling, and it's all done by computer. The guys up above, it's a German firm, and all the coordinates are sent back and forth between the company in Germany for making sure that they end up in the right spot.
How big is the actual bore?
60 inches is the pipe, so it's a little larger than that. But they put bentonite around it and they're pushing it around. Yeah, it's all done by hydraulics. So while the pipe is, it's still got a boring machine that's out front. Yeah.
So what do they do with the
We'll
stuff?
take you in
that
there
they
if you
bring
want
out?
to see it.
What?
We'll take you in there if you'd like to see it.
I might take you up on it.
All right.
But what do they do with the material that they
It's all pumped out. It's a slurry that's pumped out, and then they have a centrifuge that separates the water from the spoils.
Okay.
The spoils are landfilled, and the water is used in the pumping process again. So they're pretty unique, yeah. So there's piping, each segment has like 3 pipes in it as they start to connect them all the way up. Yeah, that slurry is pumped back up to the water.
Is any of the runoff of our property onto the parking lot of
No.
Evans? Okay, I'm just asking.
It's pretty ugly, isn't it?
Well, it is, that's why
It's very ugly.
Is it?
They have
it's
no
not-
funding to do any kind of stormwater,
Okay,
none,
it's not our,
none, no.
okay.
No, none of it's ours. Good question. We'd like to see it go away too.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
and this may be an Andy question as well, the $8 that's on the utility bills was originally put there for infrastructure, which I always thought meant water replacements and those kind of things. Is that, that's what that was originally to, as we repaved the roads, that money was gonna help put the new
Water
water.
goes towards water intake as well.
So originally it was to help replace undersized connections to, I believe it was 4-inch pipe that should have been 8-inch pipe. So the city council at the time decided to put the money in place to get rid of all 4-inch pipe in the city. But as this intake project became a